Mnemonics are like tiny superpowers for your memory. They turn boring information into something fun, sticky, and easier to recall. And the best part is that they don't require any complicated tools, just your imagination, your curiosity, and a willingness to get a little weird with how you remember things. When you use these techniques intentionally, your brain becomes more efficient and remembering becomes much less frustrating. Mnemonics work because your brain loves patterns. It loves pictures. It loves rhythm. And when you combine information with something vivid or emotional or entertaining, it becomes harder for your brain to ignore it. Instead of trying to memorize 50 random facts, you make the information familiar, and you make it meaningful. That one shift changes everything. So let's look at why these tricks work so well, and how you can start using them in everyday life. One of the most popular approaches is using acronyms. You take the first letter of each word in a list and combine them to form something new, something that sticks in your mind. It could be a real word. It could be nonsense. It doesn't really matter. The point is that your brain grabs onto that single anchor word more easily than a string of 4 or 5 separate items. It turns chaos into structure. Another method is creating mental images. Your brain is built to remember pictures. If a concept reminds you of a person, place, or object, turn it into a visual. The stranger the image, the better. The more exaggerated it is, the more likely your brain is to hang onto it. Think of it like attaching a neon sign to the memory so it stands out later. Then you have rhyme, rhythm, and songs. Music has a direct pathway to memory. This is why you can remember jingles and pop lyrics from 20 years ago without trying. When you attach a tune or rhyme to a list or idea, you create flow. And flow makes recall faster, even if the rhyme feels silly or the tune is improvised. It still works. Chunking is another simple but powerful strategy. Large amounts of information are overwhelming when they're all thrown at you at once, but when you break that information into smaller clusters, groups, or segments, your brain can process it more efficiently. This is how we remember phone numbers. This is how we categorize steps in a process. You reduce the load, and clarity goes up. And then there's the memory palace, one of the oldest and most impressive techniques. It turns your imagination into a mental filing system. You take a familiar location, your house, your school, your favorite restaurant, and place pieces of information in different rooms or areas. Later, when you need the data, you mentally walk through the space, and there it is. Memory champions use this method constantly because it works. But the real secret behind all mnemonics isn't just the clever technique, it's repetition. The more you revisit your memory aids, the deeper they get stored. Review strengthens the pathway, and eventually, the mnemonic becomes automatic. These strategies aren't tricks for geniuses. They're tools for everyone. They make learning faster, easier, and more efficient. And once you start using them intentionally, you'll wonder why you didn't learn them sooner. Train your brain creatively, and your memory becomes unforgettable.